Have you ever stopped to think about how different it feels to spend money with a credit card versus actual cash? Spending $100 with a quick tap or swipe somehow doesn't feel the same as handing over 5 crisp $20 bills. It's a really common feeling, this sense that plastic money isn't quite real. And that subtle feeling influences our financial habits way more than we realize.
So let's really get into that. Why does it feel so different? This isn't just about what's more convenient. There are some deep psychological and even neurological reasons at play here. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly what's happening behind that silent swipe. Okay, let's kick things off with a number that just stops you in your tracks. A report from the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston found something pretty shocking. The average cash transaction, just $22. But the average for non-cash transactions, like with a card, $112. That's a 409% difference. We're not talking about a small gap here. This is a massive chasm, and it's proof that the way we pay completely changes how we spend.
And that leads us right into our first section, the cash versus card gap. See, that 409% isn't a fluke. It's a pattern, something we see over and over in different studies and in the real world. The tool we use to pay fundamentally alters how much we're willing to part with. And you can see this in the most everyday places. Take McDonald's, for example. They once reported that their average sale for someone paying with cash was about $4.50. But for customers who pulled out a credit card, that average jumped all the way up to $7. It's the same food, same place, but there's a huge difference in spending, all because of that little piece of plastic. So what's really going on here? Where does this huge difference come from? Well, the answer isn't in your wallets. It's actually inside your brain. To really get it, we have to look at the neuroscience of spending, what's happening on a biological level every time we buy something.
This slide pretty much says it all. On the one hand, when you pay with cash, you're physically giving something up. Your brain sees that and registers it as a real, tangible loss. It actually activates a part of your brain called the insular cortex. That's the same region that processes physical pain. So yeah, it literally hurts a little bit to spend cash. But now look at the other side. When you use a card, that whole process gets bypassed. The transaction feels abstract, distant. It basically acts like a psychological anesthetic, numbing the pain of paying.
And this isn't just a metaphor. As financial therapist Jonathan Kolmitz points out, that feeling you get when your wallet is a little lighter is a real, measurable response in your brain. Credit cards are designed to silence that internal alarm system that would normally make you stop and think twice. So once that biological spending brake is turned off, it opens the door for all kinds of psychological effects. We become way more vulnerable to a whole series of cognitive traps, these little mental shortcuts and biases that credit cards are almost perfectly designed to take advantage of. The biggest one is something called psychological decoupling. It's a fancy term, but the idea is simple. Credit cards create a delay. You get the fun, the pleasure of buying something right now, but the pain, the bill, doesn't show up for weeks. That separation, that decoupling, lets our brain focus only on the reward, without having to think about the immediate cost. And you can see the result of this decoupling in the real world. It's pretty stark. According to a Forbes Advisor survey, 52% of people say they're likely to make an impulse buy with a card. But with cash, that number gets cut by more than half, down to just 24%. When you delay the pain, your willpower just plummets. Then you've got the reward paradox. This is so clever. Points, miles, cashback, they completely reframe spending as earning. It turns a financial loss into a game you can win. We get a little dopamine hit from racking up points, and it actually encourages us to spend more just to win a tiny fraction back. It's a game that feels like a victory, even when you're losing. And of course, credit cards make it incredibly easy to act on our emotions. When we're stressed out, maybe we buy something for comfort. When we're celebrating, we feel like we deserve a reward. Bored? An impulse buy can give you a quick little thrill. Cards remove all the barriers between these feelings and the act of spending. They become the path of least resistance. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, the technology itself. Modern payments are engineered to be what's called frictionless. And while that convenience is great, it comes with a hidden cost. It basically supercharges all the psychological effects we've been talking about. Think about it. One-click purchasing, autofill, tap to pay. These things aren't just about making your life easier. They are intentionally designed to shrink the time between an impulse and the final purchase. They remove that critical moment of friction, that pause where you might pull out your wallet, count your cash, and ask yourself, do I really need this? Now, after going through all these hidden ways that we're encouraged to spend more, it's pretty easy to start seeing credit cards as the enemy. But that's really not the whole story. It's important to have a balanced view and approach this with a new sense of awareness. I mean, we have to admit, cards have some powerful benefits that cash just can't offer. You get federal fraud protection, which makes them much safer. Using them responsibly is one of the best ways to build a good credit history. And the rewards, if you manage them well, can be genuinely valuable. Then you add in things like purchase protection and just how convenient they are. It's easy to see why we use them. So the takeaway here isn't that you should cut up your cards and switch to a cash-only life. The goal is just to be aware. It's about understanding the psychological script that you're invited to follow every time you pull out that card. A script designed to separate pleasure from payment, to turn spending into a game, and to remove any chance for a second thought. Once you can see the script, you're not just an unwitting actor anymore. You're in control. Being aware of these forces is the antidote. It gives you the power to use these tools on your own terms, to get all the benefits while neatly sidestepping the traps. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Now that you know the hidden script, how will you choose to write the next scene?